The quantum radio telescope had been humming the same boring tune for 3 months straight. Dr. Emma Rodriguez rubbed her tired eyes and glanced at the endless stream of cosmic background radiation data scrolling across her screens. Another night shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Station meant another night of absolutely nothing happening. Then the pattern changed. Emma sat up straight as numbers began flowing across her display in perfect mathematical sequences. Prime numbers, universal constants, the golden ratio. This wasn't random cosmic noise. Someone was talking. She grabbed her headset and called Director Paul Chen. "Sir, you need to get down here right now. We're receiving a structured transmission from outside the solar system." 20 minutes later, Paul burst through the lab doors still wearing his pajamas. "Show me everything!" Emma pulled up the decoded transmission on the main screen. The signal originated from somewhere in the Centaurus arm, roughly 47 light-years away. It's using mathematical concepts that any intelligent species would recognize. Look at this part here. The screen displayed a series of geometric shapes, each one more complex than the last. Then came star charts showing the relative positions of nearby systems. Finally, a countdown timer appeared, ticking down from what appeared to be 72 Earth days. "They're telling us where they are and when something terrible is going to happen," Emma whispered. Paul leaned closer to the screen. "Can you decode more of it?" Emma's fingers flew across the keyboard. Hours passed as she worked through the alien mathematics, converting their concepts into human understanding. What she found made her blood run cold. "They call themselves the Althari Republic," she explained to Paul and the growing crowd of scientists, who had arrived throughout the night. 12 worlds, roughly 50 billion beings. They're facing extinction from something they call the Devourers. The transmission showed images that made everyone in the room uncomfortable. Planets stripped. Bare of all life, their surfaces turned to gray dust. Ships the size of moons devouring everything in their path. An enemy that adapted to every weapon, every defense, every strategy thrown at it. According to their data, the Devourers have consumed hundreds of worlds across this galaxy, Emma continued. Every species that encounters them either flees or dies. The Althari have been fighting for 6 years. They've lost 3 of their 12 worlds already. Paul studied the alien star charts. "Why are they contacting us? We barely have faster-than-light travel. Our weapons are primitive compared to what they're showing us." Emma pulled up the final section of the transmission. The images here were different. They showed behavioral analysis data, psychological profiles, tactical assessments. The Althari had been studying species across the galaxy, looking for something specific. "They've analyzed over 300 intelligent species," Emma said quietly. "They're looking for a particular combination of traits. Creative thinking born from conflict, tactical unpredictability, the willingness to sacrifice everything for strangers, and most importantly, the ability to embrace chaos when logic fails." The room fell silent as everyone processed what that meant. "They think we're their answer?" Paul asked. "They think we're their only answer," Emma replied. "Look at this final message." The screen displayed a simple plea written in newly learned human languages. "To the humans of Earth, we have studied your history, your wars, your art, your music, your stories. You alone among all species show the pattern we need. You create beauty from destruction. You find order in chaos. You fight impossible battles for people you have never met. We are dying. Our children are dying. Please help us. We know this request is terrifying. We know you may be terrifying, but you are our last hope." Dr. Lisa Park from the Military Liaison Office stepped forward. "How long do we have to respond?" Emma checked the countdown. Timer still running on her screen. 68 days before their projected final battle. But it would take our fastest experimental ship 3 weeks just to reach their territory. General Mike Davis had arrived sometime during the night and stood quietly in the corner until now. "What exactly are they asking us to do?" "Fight an enemy. That's defeated hundreds of more advanced civilizations? Emma nodded grimly. The transmission includes detailed tactical analyses of every battle the Devourers have fought. Every enemy used logical, predictable strategies, advanced weapons, perfect formations, calculated risks. The Devourers adapted to all of it because they could process and counter any logical pattern. And they think our chaos can beat their order? Paul asked. They think our willingness to be unpredictable might be the only thing that can. Emma corrected. But look at their psychological analysis of humanity. They're terrified of us. We're the species that drops nuclear bombs on ourselves, that creates art celebrating violence, that charges into hopeless battles singing songs. They know that asking for our help means unleashing something they don't understand. The room buzzed with nervous conversation. Everyone understood the implications. Humanity had never been contacted by aliens before, and the first message was a desperate plea for help against an impossible enemy. General Davis stepped closer to the screens. Show me their military capabilities. Emma pulled up the Althari. Fleet specifications. Energy weapons that could crack continents. Shields that could stop asteroid impacts. Ships the size of cities with faster-than-light drives that made human technology look like stone tools. If they can't beat these Devourers, what makes them think we can? Davis asked. Because we don't think like them, Emma said simply. Look at their battle records. Every engagement follows perfect military doctrine. Organized formations, calculated retreats, logical target prioritization. It's exactly what any advanced military academy would teach. And we don't fight like that, Davis realized. We fight dirty, Paul added. We use tactics that don't make sense. We take risks that seem insane. We win battles we should lose because we do things the enemy never expects. Emma nodded. According to their analysis, humans are the only species they've studied that regularly defeats superior opponents through sheer unpredictability. We're the only ones who see chaos as a tool instead of something to be avoided. The countdown timer continued ticking down on the main screen. 67 days, 22 hours, 16 minutes. We need to contact the President, General Davis said finally, and the UN Security Council, and pretty much everyone else who makes decisions about humanity's future. What do we tell them? Paul asked. Emma looked at the alien plea still glowing on her screen. Somewhere 47 light-years away, billions of beings were preparing to die, hoping that the crazy humans might save them. We tell them that we just became the galaxy's last hope, she said. And we tell them that everyone involved knows. It's going to be terrifying. The next morning, humanity learned it was no longer alone in the universe, and that sometimes being alone might have been safer. 3 weeks after the world learned about aliens, the Endeavour drifted in the cold darkness between stars. Captain Alex Stone floated in the ship's observation deck, watching the strange colors of hyperspace ripple past the reinforced windows. This was humanity's first journey beyond their own solar system, and nobody knew if they would survive it. The experimental jump drive hummed ominously beneath his feet. Earth's best engineers had worked around the clock to build something that might reach Althari space before the Devourers finished their conquest. The drive worked by tearing holes in space itself, and everyone knew it was just as likely to tear the ship apart. 15 minutes to system entry, announced engineer Tom Wright over the ship's communication system. All hands, prepare for possible violent decompression, explosive failure, or spontaneous conversion into exotic matter. Alex smiled despite the situation. Trust Tom to make a joke about possible death. The crew needed that kind of humor right now. 63 humans aboard humanity's most advanced spacecraft, heading into a war zone to fight an enemy that had never been defeated. Dr. Emma Rodriguez joined him at the observation windows. She had insisted on coming along to help with alien communications, leaving her quiet life on Earth for this impossible mission. Any second thoughts? She asked. About 1,000 per minute, Alex replied, but that's normal for me. The ship's medical officer, Dr. Maya Patel, pushed off from the ceiling and floated down beside them. She had spent the entire 3-week journey studying the biological data the Althari had sent about the Devourers. "I've been thinking about what we learned from their transmissions," she said. "And?" Emma prompted. "The Devourers aren't just a hive mind, they're more like a biological quantum computer. They process information from millions of individual units simultaneously, analyzing patterns and adapting in real time. It's why they've never lost a battle." Alex turned away from the hypnotic colors outside. "Explain it like I'm 5 years old," Maya grinned. "Imagine playing chess against someone who can see every possible move you might make, instantly calculate the perfect counter, and adapt their entire strategy in milliseconds. That's what every species has been fighting. Sounds." "Impossible to beat," Alex said. "Exactly. Unless you don't play chess at all. Unless you flip the board over, set it on fire, and start juggling the pieces while singing opera." Emma laughed. "That's the most human strategy I've ever heard." The ship shuddered as Tom began the deceleration sequence. Through the windows, hyperspace faded away and normal stars appeared. Dead ahead, a red dwarf star grew larger, surrounded by the debris of a solar system that had once supported life. "Welcome to Althari space," Tom announced grimly. The main screen activated, showing long-range sensor data. What they saw made everyone silent. 3 planets in this system had been stripped completely bare. Not a single building, tree, or trace of atmosphere remained. The worlds looked like gray billiard balls floating in space. "My God," whispered Dr. Rodriguez. "The Althari weren't exaggerating." More data flowed across the screens. Debris fields that had once been cities, asteroid belts that showed signs of artificial construction, now reduced to dust and metal fragments. An entire civilization had been erased so thoroughly that future archaeologists would find nothing. "Incoming transmission," announced communications specialist Rita Wong. "It's using the same mathematical framework as the original message." The main screen flickered and displayed an alien figure. The being was tall and thin, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow with its own light. Its large eyes showed exhaustion and desperation that needed no translation. "Human vessel," the alien said in carefully pronounced English. "I am Commander Jalen of the Althari Defense Fleet. We have been monitoring your approach. We cannot believe you actually came." Alex stepped forward. "Commander Jalen, I'm Captain Stone of the Earthship Endeavor. We received your people's message and came as quickly as we could." The alien's skin shifted to a brighter blue. What the crew had learned indicated surprise. "You brought only 1 ship? We sent specifications showing the Devourer's strength. Surely you understood the magnitude of the threat." "We understood perfectly," Alex replied. "This is our most advanced vessel, carrying our best people. Sometimes, 1 ship is enough if you use it right." Commander Jalen's skin flickered through several colors the humans hadn't seen before. "Captain Stone, with respect, the Devourers have destroyed fleets of 10,000 ships. They have consumed civilizations with weapons that could shatter moons. How can 63 beings in 1 small ship possibly succeed where millions have failed?" Dr. Patel moved to stand beside Alex. "Because we don't think the way those millions thought. Show us to your fleet, Commander. Let us see what we're really dealing with." The Endeavor followed Jalen's navigation data deeper into the system, toward the remaining Althari stronghold around their homeworld of Kalani. What they found there was both impressive and heartbreaking. The Althari fleet consisted of nearly 800 massive ships, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their weapons could crack planets, and their shields could stop asteroid impacts. The surviving population of 9 worlds had gathered here for their final stand. But Alex could see the desperation in their formation. The ships were arranged in perfect defensive patterns, following military doctrine that had been proven and refined over centuries. Every vessel had its assigned position, every weapon had its calculated firing solution, every retreat route had been planned and prepared. "It's exactly what I would expect from an advanced military," observed Lieutenant Colonel Beth Williams, the mission's tactical advisor. "Perfectly logical, completely predictable, and absolutely useless against an enemy that adapts to logical patterns." Tom Wright had been studying the Althari ship designs and shook his head in amazement. "Look at these vessels. Every system is optimized. Every component serves multiple functions. Every design choice makes perfect sense. They're beautiful." That's the problem, Maya realized. Beautiful, logical, predictable. The Devourers have been fighting enemies like this for possibly millions of years. They know exactly how logical minds work. Commander Jalen appeared on screen again, his skin now showing swirls of deep purple that indicated profound sadness. "Captain Stone, I must be honest with you. Many of our leaders question whether bringing humans here was wise. Your species' reputation for unpredictable behavior concerns them." "Good," Alex replied, surprising the alien. "It should concern them. It should concern the Devourers, too, assuming they're capable of concern. Our preliminary scans of your vessel show weapon systems we do not recognize," Jalen continued. "Many appear to be improvised, modified from other purposes. Your ship design follows no logical pattern we can identify." Tom grinned and activated the external camera feeds, showing the Endeavor's hull. The ship looked like it had been built by someone who had never seen a spacecraft before. Weapons pods were mounted at seemingly random angles. The hull was covered with strange modifications and additions that served no apparent purpose. Radio. Antennas stuck out in all directions like the whiskers of some mechanical animal. "We call it the everything and the kitchen sink approach," Tom explained. "Some of these modifications might be useful in battle. Others might be completely useless. The point is that even we don't know which is which until we try them." Commander Jalen's skin went through a rapid series of color changes before settling on pale yellow, which indicated confusion. "You built weapons without knowing if they would work?" "We built weapons without knowing if they would work the way they were designed to work," Emma corrected. "Sometimes the most interesting results come from systems failing in unexpected ways." The alien was quiet for several long moments. Finally, his skin shifted to a deep blue-green that none of the humans had seen before. "Premier Thalen wishes to meet with you personally before the Devourers arrive. Our long-range sensors indicate they will reach this system in approximately 18 hours. 18 hours, Alex repeated. "I thought we had more time." "They have been accelerating their advance since detecting your ship's arrival," Jalen explained. "We believe they view humans as either a significant threat or an interesting addition to their conquest. Either way, they are coming faster than predicted." Alex looked around at his crew. 63 humans who had volunteered to travel across the galaxy to fight an impossible enemy. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and dreamers who had left Earth, knowing they might never return. "Tell Premier Thalen we'll be honored to meet with him," Alex said finally. "And Commander Jalen, thanks for believing in us enough to call for help. We won't let you down." As the Endeavor moved toward the Althari flagship, Alex wondered if that was a promise he could keep. In 18 hours, they would find out if humanity's chaos could defeat the Devourer's perfection. One way or another, the galaxy would learn what humans were really capable of. Premier Thalen's private meeting room overlooked the beautiful blue-green world of Kalani through massive transparent walls. The Althari leader stood 7 feet tall with skin that currently showed deep purple streaks of worry mixed with faint, golden hope. His large eyes studied the small group of humans with obvious fascination and barely hidden terror. "I have reviewed your species' history files," Thalen said in careful English. "Your records show a pattern of behavior that defies logical analysis. You wage wars against yourselves, then unite against external threats. You create art celebrating violence while simultaneously building monuments to peace. You sacrifice individuals for groups, then sacrifice groups for individuals. We cannot predict your actions. Captain Alex Stone stood with Dr. Emma Rodriguez, Engineer Tom Wright, and Dr. Maya Patel in the center of the elegant room. Around them, holographic displays showed the approaching Devourer fleet. Thousands of organic ships that looked more grown than built. Most species see unpredictability as a weakness, Emma observed. You see it as a strength. Because logic has failed us, Thalen replied, his skin shifting to frustrated orange. For 6 years, our greatest military minds have developed strategies against the Devourers. Perfect formations, calculated risks, optimal weapon deployments. Every battle follows our doctrine precisely, and every battle ends in defeat. Tom was examining the holographic displays of previous battles. Your tactics are textbook perfect. Any military academy in human space would give these plans top marks. That is exactly the problem, said Admiral Dex, Thalen's military advisor. Her skin showed angry red patterns as she gestured at the battle recordings. The Devourers adapt to perfection. They process our logical strategies instantly and develop counters before we can implement them. Predictable excellence is our greatest weakness. Dr. Patel stepped closer to examine the biological data on the Devourers themselves. Your analysis shows they're essentially a galaxy-wide neural network, millions of individual organisms sharing thoughts and experiences instantaneously. Correct, Thalen confirmed. Each Devourer unit learns from every encounter across their entire species. When they adapt to defeat one of our strategies, every Devourer in the galaxy immediately knows that adaptation. Alex studied the fleet movements shown in the recordings. So when you use Formation Delta 7 against them in the Rigel system, they already know how to counter it when you use it again at Vega Prime. They know how to counter it before we finish deploying it, Admiral Dex said bitterly. They predict our moves with perfect accuracy because our moves follow perfect logic. The room fell silent as everyone contemplated that impossible challenge. Emma broke the silence with a question that made every Althari in the room uncomfortable. What if logic isn't the answer? Thalen's skin rippled with colors the humans hadn't seen before. Dr. Rodriguez, civilization is built on logic, order, reason, careful planning. These are what separate advanced beings from primitive chaos. Maybe, Tom said thoughtfully, but chaos isn't always primitive. Look at human music. Jazz improvisation creates beautiful, complex patterns that no computer could predict because the musicians don't even know what they'll play next. You are suggesting we fight a war using jazz improvisation? Admiral Dex asked, her skin showing deep skepticism. I'm suggesting we fight a war using something the Devourers have never encountered, Tom replied. Deliberate unpredictability, organized chaos, tactical decisions based on intuition instead of calculation. Premier Thalen activated a new display, showing the Devourer approach vector. They will arrive in 14 hours. Even if we accept your proposal, how do we implement random tactics with our existing fleet? Alex looked at his small crew, then back at the Althari leaders. You don't. Your ships and crews are trained for logical combat. Asking them to fight chaotically would be like asking a symphony orchestra to play rock and roll. Possible, but not effective. Then what do you propose? Thalen asked. You let us coordinate the battle, Emma said quietly. Your ships follow our commands, even when those commands don't make sense, especially when they don't make sense. The room erupted, in colors as every Althari present cycled through shock, outrage, and disbelief. Admiral Dex's skin went completely red. You want our entire fleet to follow orders from aliens who arrived yesterday in a single primitive vessel? I want your fleet to follow orders from aliens who think differently than you do, Alex corrected. You called us because we're unpredictable. But unpredictability only works if unpredictable minds are making the decisions. Thalen raised his hand for silence. His skin showed the deep blue of profound contemplation. Captain Stone, our fleet represents the last military strength of 12 worlds. If we lose this battle, our civilization ends. You are asking us to bet everything on human chaos. No, Maya said, stepping forward. We're asking you to bet everything on the one thing the Devourers have never seen. They've fought logical enemies for millions of years. They've never fought someone who makes battle plans by flipping coins. You actually flip coins to make tactical decisions? Admiral Dex asked in horror. Tom grinned. Sometimes we use dice. Sometimes we base our strategy on whatever song happens to be playing. The point is that even we don't know what we're going to do until we do it. Thalen moved to the large windows overlooking his homeworld. Cities of crystal and light stretched across continents, representing thousands of years of careful civilization, building. Soon the Devourers would strip it all away unless something unprecedented happened. Our psychologists have analyzed your species extensively, he said without turning around. They conclude that humans are simultaneously the most cooperative and most destructive beings they have encountered. You build beautiful things, then destroy them in fits of passion. You write poetry about love, then wage war over resources. You are living contradictions. That's what makes us dangerous, Alex replied. We contradict ourselves, so how can an enemy predict us? That is also what makes you terrifying, Thalen said, finally turning back to face them. If we give you control of our fleet, you might save us. You might also accidentally destroy us while trying to save us. We have studied your military history. You have a disturbing tendency to achieve victory through tactics that should result in disaster. Emma nodded. We specialize in impossible victories and improbable survivals. Sometimes we win battles by doing exactly the opposite of what makes sense. Alarms suddenly echoed through the ship. Admiral Dex checked her personal display, and her skin went pale white with shock. They have arrived early. The Devourer fleet just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. On the room's main display, sensor data showed the approaching enemy. Thousands of biological ships that moved like living things, accompanied by clouds of smaller organisms that swarmed around them like insects. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. They are accelerating toward us, Admiral Dex reported. Our fleet is moving to intercept using Formation Gamma 12. Cancel that order, Alex said firmly. All ships are to maintain current positions, but orient themselves randomly. No formations, no tactical arrangements, no logical positioning. That will make us vulnerable to their opening attack, the Admiral protested. Good, Tom replied. Vulnerable in ways they won't expect. Maya, start broadcasting on all frequencies. Music, poetry, human languages, mathematical jokes, anything that might confuse their analysis systems. Dr. Patel moved to a communications console and began uploading files from the Endeavor's cultural database. Soon, the tactical networks were filled with everything from classical symphonies to children's nursery rhymes, from scientific papers to romantic poetry. What is the purpose of this chaos? Admiral Dex demanded. There is no purpose, Emma explained. That's the point. The Devourers expect logical behavior with understandable goals. We're giving them something their quantum biological brains can't process. Pure human randomness. Premier Thalen watched his orderly fleet abandon all military doctrine and arrange itself in completely random patterns while broadcasting incomprehensible cultural noise. His skin cycled through every color the humans had seen, and several they hadn't. This is either the most brilliant strategy in galactic history, he said finally, or the most elaborate form of suicide ever attempted. Alex looked out at the approaching enemy fleet and felt the familiar pre-battle mixture of terror and excitement that had driven humans to impossible victories throughout their history. Probably both, he admitted. But that's how humans prefer to win, by doing things that shouldn't work, but somehow do. The Devourer fleet continued its approach, their perfect biological coordination probably trying to analyze the chaotic human tactics. For the first time in millions of years, they were facing an enemy that didn't make sense. In 12 hours, the galaxy would learn whether chaos could defeat perfection, or whether humanity had just engineered the most creative disaster in military history. The first shots of the battle were fired by accident. Lieutenant Nina Walsh aboard the Althari vessel Starwind was trying to understand the human tactical system when she accidentally triggered the main weapons. The massive energy beam struck empty space where no enemy ships were located, creating a brilliant explosion that served no military purpose whatsoever. "Perfect," announced Tom Wright from his position on the Endeavor's bridge. "All ships, begin random weapons fire. Aim at whatever feels right. Don't think about it, just shoot." Admiral Dex watched in horror as 800 disciplined Althari warships abandoned millennia of military doctrine and began firing weapons in seemingly random directions. "This is madness," she whispered. "It's working," Dr. Maya Patel observed, studying the sensor readings of the approaching Devourer fleet. "Look at their formation changes. They're trying to adapt to our tactics, but they can't predict random behavior." The Devourer fleet had been approaching in perfect biological coordination, millions of organisms moving as a single entity. But as the cheering began across the Althari fleet, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they had unleashed something that couldn't be contained. The victory was real, but the implications were terrifying. Humanity had just proven that chaos could defeat order on a galactic scale, and that knowledge would spread to every corner of the galaxy. "Sir," communications specialist Rita Wong announced quietly, "we're receiving new transmissions, not from the Althari." Alex felt his stomach drop. "Show me." The main screen filled with star charts and mathematical sequences from 17 different star systems. Each transmission followed the same pattern as the original Althari message: desperate pleas for help from civilizations facing impossible odds. The news was already spreading. Somewhere out there, 17 other species had witnessed humanity's impossible victory and decided that the chaotic humans might be their answer too. Alex stared at the incoming distress calls and realized that they had just become the galaxy's go-to solution for every unsolvable problem. The victory celebration around him suddenly felt like a funeral march for humanity's peaceful future. The chaotic human tactics unfolded. Their formation began to waver. Individual ships started making course corrections that didn't match the movements of their neighbors. Captain Alex Stone studied the tactical display with growing excitement. They're confused. Their hive mind is trying to process behavior that has no logic, and it's causing processing conflicts. On the communications channels, engineer Pete Lucas was broadcasting Earth's most chaotic cultural content directly at the enemy fleet. Jazz music mixed with political speeches, mathematical formulas overlapped with recipe collections, and poetry about love interrupted technical manuals about plumbing repair. "Unknown contacts, this is Earth Cultural Archive Broadcast 77 Alpha," Pete announced cheerfully. Today's featured content includes a discussion of quantum mechanics by Professor Smith, followed by my grandmother's apple pie recipe, and concluding with the complete works of an angry teenager's poetry blog. Enjoy! The effect on the Devourer fleet was unprecedented. Ships that had moved in perfect harmony for millions of years began displaying individual behaviors. Some accelerated while others slowed down. Some changed course while others maintained their original vectors. "Their neural network is experiencing cascade failures," Dr. Patel announced excitedly. "The random inputs are creating conflicts in their collective decision-making process." Premier Thalen watched the impossible scene unfolding on his displays. "Captain Stone, your tactics appear to be working, but I must ask, is there any overall strategy to this chaos?" "The strategy is that there is no strategy," Alex replied. Every ship captain is making decisions based on their own instincts without coordinating with anyone else. We're not following any plan because plans can be predicted and countered. Tom Wright had rigged several Althari ships with what he called his special modifications, weapon systems that fired in patterns based on whatever music was currently playing in the ship's entertainment systems. When a classical piece played, the weapons fired in smooth, elegant arcs. When rock music played, the weapons fired in sharp, aggressive bursts. "This is insane," muttered Commander Jalen as his ship's weapons began firing to the rhythm of an Earth song called Bohemian Rhapsody. "We are conducting warfare using musical timing. And it's working," Emma Rodriguez pointed out. "Look at the enemy response patterns. They're trying to predict when your weapons will fire next, but they can't because your weapons are following an Earth song from the year 1975. The battle intensified as the Devourer fleet came within close combat range. Their massive bioships extended organic weapons that looked like living tentacles, reaching out to grasp and consume the smaller Althari vessels. But the human-directed chaos was having unexpected effects. "All ships. New tactic," Alex announced. "When an enemy ship attacks you, do something that makes no sense. Spin around, fly backward, play dead, sing songs, draw pictures with your exhaust trails. Confuse them." The Starwind responded by flying directly toward a massive Devourer bioship while broadcasting Earth nursery rhymes and spinning like a top. The enemy vessel, evolved to combat logical opponents, had no processing framework for an attack that resembled a children's game more than military action. "It's working," shouted Lieutenant Walsh. "The bioship is backing away from us. I think we confused it to death." Other Althari ships began implementing similarly bizarre tactics. The Harmony flew in figure-8 patterns while firing randomly into space. The Crystal Song played dead until enemy ships approached, then suddenly came to life and rammed them while broadcasting comedy shows from Earth. Dr. Patel was analyzing the biological readings from the enemy fleet and making disturbing discoveries. The Devourers aren't just confused, they're having what appears to be nervous breakdowns. Their collective intelligence is fragmenting because it can't process random inputs. Individual Devourer ships are starting to operate independently, observed communications specialist Rita Wong. Their hive mind is breaking apart under the strain of trying to understand human randomness. The tide of battle began to turn as more Devourer ships lost connection with their collective intelligence. Some continued attacking using instinct rather than coordination. Others simply stopped moving entirely, their biological computers overwhelmed by the chaotic inputs they were trying to process. Tom Wright decided to escalate the chaos by implementing what he called Operation Everything Goes. He had secretly programmed several Althari ships with weapons that would activate based on completely random triggers, background radiation fluctuations, the number of hydrogen atoms detected in nearby space, the mathematical relationship between the ship's velocity and the local gravity field. "Tom, what are you doing?" Alex demanded as he watched friendly ships begin firing weapons in patterns that defied all logic. "I'm making us completely unpredictable," Tom replied happily. "Even we don't know what our weapons will do next, because they're being controlled by random universal constants." The result was beautiful chaos. Althari ships fired weapons in spiraling patterns that created accidental artwork in space. Energy beams intersected to form geometric shapes that existed for milliseconds before dissolving. The entire battle began to resemble an abstract art installation more than a military engagement. The Devourer fleet's response was complete systemic failure. Ships that had functioned as perfect biological machines for millions of years began displaying behaviors that could only be described as confused panic. Some fled in random directions. Others attacked their own fleetmates. Many simply stopped all activity and drifted helplessly. "Impossible," breathed Admiral Dex as her sensors showed enemy ships actually fighting each other. "They have maintained perfect unity for countless years. How are humans causing them to attack themselves?" "We're Not, Emma explained. We're just giving them inputs they can't process. Their collective intelligence is fragmenting because chaos is literally incompatible with their biological computer systems. The largest Devourer bioship, a massive organism the size of a moon, began exhibiting the most disturbing behavior yet. Its surface started changing colors rapidly, cycling through patterns that hurt to look at. Organic weapons extended and retracted randomly. It began broadcasting what could only be described as screaming. "The primary intelligence is having a complete breakdown," Dr. Patel announced with awe and horror. "We've essentially driven their hive mind insane." But victory came with an unexpected price. As the Devourer collective intelligence shattered, individual ships became more dangerous, not less. Without the restraint of coordinated tactics, they began attacking everything in sight with desperate fury. Several Althari ships were destroyed by enemies that were no longer following any logical pattern. "They're more unpredictable now," Admiral Dex observed grimly, "but also more destructive. They're lashing out like wounded animals." Alex watched the battle continue to evolve in impossible directions. The enemy was retreating, but they were destroying everything they could reach as they fled. Kalani's orbital stations were taking heavy damage from Devourer ships that attacked them purely out of rage and confusion. "New plan," he announced. "All ships, switch to protective mode. Forget about attacking the enemy. Just protect anything they're trying to destroy. Form a barrier between them and civilian targets." The Althari fleet immediately shifted to defensive positions around their homeworld and orbital installations. The retreating Devourer ships continued their chaotic attacks, but now they faced an organized defense rather than an easy target. Hours later, as the last enemy ships disappeared into hyperspace, the impossible had happened. The Devourers, victorious in every previous battle across millions of years, had been defeated by opponents they couldn't understand or predict. Premier Thalan's skin showed colors that had never been recorded in Althari history, patterns indicating emotions for which his people had no words. "Captain Stone," he said quietly, "what exactly did we just witness?" Alex looked at the tactical displays showing the aftermath of the strangest battle in galactic history. Debris fields formed abstract art patterns. Damaged ships drifted in, formations that looked like flowers. The space around Kalani looked like the inside of a kaleidoscope. "You witnessed humans doing what we do best," he replied. "Winning through methods that shouldn't work, using tactics that defy logic, and somehow making beautiful art out of the chaos of war." The galaxy's most successful conquerors had retreated for the first time in their species' history, defeated by an enemy that fought using music, randomness, and deliberate confusion as weapons. But as 6 months after the Battle of Kalani, Captain Alex Stone sat in a conference room aboard the rebuilt Althari station overlooking their homeworld. Through the transparent walls, he could see construction crews working to repair the damage from the Devourer attack. The scars were healing, but slowly. Premier Thalan's skin had settled into a permanent pattern of mixed colors that the Althari called contemplative uncertainty. His people had been saved, but they were still trying to understand what that salvation meant for the galaxy. "The final reports have been compiled," Thalan said, activating a holographic display. "The Devourer fleet scattered to 47 different star systems after their defeat here. None have attacked another world since the battle. Their hive mind appears to be permanently fractured." Dr. Emma Rodriguez studied the galactic map showing the scattered enemy ships. "They're probably still trying to process what happened here. A collective intelligence that spent millions of years perfecting logical responses suddenly encountered pure randomness. It may take them centuries to recover, if they ever do." Engineer Tom Wright looked up from his tablet where he'd been reading the latest reports from Earth. "Might be better if they don't recover, but we've got bigger problems now." Alex knew what Tom was referring to. The communications array in the corner of the room displayed 17 active distress signals from different civilizations across the galaxy. Each one was asking for humanity's help with their own impossible problems the Zephyrians are facing. A machine intelligence that's converted their entire military into automated weapons, Emma read from the latest transmission. The Karathi Republic is being invaded by energy beings that exist partially outside normal space. The Telleran Empire is dealing with time-traveling conquerors who attack them in the past before they can defend themselves. All problems that traditional military doctrine can't solve, observed Dr. Maya Patel, who had remained in Althari space to study the long-term effects of the battle. They're all looking for the humans who defeated the undefeatable enemy using impossible tactics. Premier Thalen's skin shifted to darker patterns of concern. Captain Stone, I must ask a difficult question. When we sent our plea to Earth, we knew we were asking for something terrifying. But we did not anticipate that our salvation would make you the galaxy's premier weapons of war. Alex stood and walked to the windows overlooking Kalani. The planet. Below showed signs of recovery, but also of change. Althari cities were being rebuilt with new architectural styles that incorporated random elements. Curves where straight lines would be more efficient. Decorative flourishes that served no logical purpose. Designs that reflected human influence. None of us anticipated this, he admitted. We came here to help one civilization survive. We didn't expect to become the galaxy's emergency response team. But that is exactly what has happened, said Admiral Dex, whose skin now showed permanent streaks of blue respect mixed with orange concern. 43 more species have sent preliminary messages to Earth asking about human availability for military consultation. The word is spreading that chaos can defeat order. Tom laughed bitterly. Military consultation. They make it sound like we're selling a service. Need an impossible victory? Call the humans. We specialize in tactics that shouldn't work but somehow do. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from Commander Jalen aboard the patrol ship New Dawn. His image appeared on the main screen, his skin showing the rapid color changes that indicated extreme agitation. Premier Thalen, we have a situation developing at the edge of our system. A human fleet has just dropped out of hyperspace. Over 300 ships. Alex felt his blood turn cold. 300 ships? That's more than half of Earth's entire space fleet. The external cameras showed the approaching vessels, and Alex recognized the distinctive profile of Earth's newest military ships. These weren't exploration vessels like the Endeavour. They were purpose-built warships designed specifically for the new galactic conflicts that humanity had become involved in. Incoming transmission from the fleet commander, Jalen announced. A new face appeared on screen. Admiral Sarah Kim, one of Earth's most experienced military leaders. Alex had served under her command years ago and knew her reputation for both brilliance and ruthlessness. Captain Stone, Admiral Kim said formally, by order of the United Earth Council, you and your crew are to return to Earth immediately for debriefing and reassignment. The Endeavour mission is officially concluded. Admiral, Alex replied carefully, we're still working with the Althari on post-battle analysis and helping them adapt to new defensive strategies. That work will be continued by others, Kim said firmly. Captain, Earth has received 43 formal requests for military assistance from various galactic civilizations. The Council has decided that humanity's new role as the galaxy's chaos specialists requires a more organized approach. Emma stepped forward. Admiral Kim, with respect, what we did here can't be organized. The moment you turn human unpredictability into a systematic doctrine, it stops being unpredictable. Admiral Kim's expression didn't change. Dr. Rodriguez, that's exactly why we need to discuss this on Earth. The Council believes that humanity's unique capabilities can be enhanced and refined through proper training and coordination. Tom snorted, in disgust. They want to turn chaos into a curriculum. Advanced Random Tactics 101 taught at military academies. They don't understand that the moment you teach someone to be random, they stop being truly random. The decision has been made, Admiral Kim said. Captain Stone, you have 12 hours to complete your business here and prepare for departure. Dr. Rodriguez, Engineer Wright, Dr. Patel, you're all being reassigned to the new Galactic Intervention Command. The transmission ended, leaving the room in uncomfortable silence. Alex looked around at his crew and the Althari leaders who had become friends over the past months. The easy camaraderie of their impossible victory was being replaced by the cold efficiency of organized military doctrine. They're going to ruin it, Maya said quietly. They're going to take everything that made us effective and turn it into standard operating procedure. Premier Thalen's skin showed deep patterns of sadness mixed with understanding. This was inevitable, was it not? Your species cannot remain small and chaotic forever. Success breeds organization, and organization breeds predictability. Alex nodded grimly. And predictable humans are just another logical military force that enemies can analyze and defeat. There's something else, Emma said, checking her personal communication device. I've been monitoring galactic communication networks. 3 civilizations have already tried to copy our tactics against their own enemies. All 3 attempts failed, catastrophically. Because they tried to be randomly random instead of naturally chaotic, Tom realized. You can't fake genuine unpredictability. It has to come from actually being unpredictable people. Admiral Dex activated a new display, showing recent battle reports from across the galaxy. The Reltarian Empire attempted to defeat their machine enemies using human-style random tactics. Their fleet was destroyed because they followed a manual on how to be unpredictable, which made them completely predictable. The manual probably had a table of contents, Tom said with bitter humor. Chapter 1, How to be Random. Chapter 2, Advanced Chaos Theory. Chapter 3, Tactical Applications of Confusion. Premier Thalen moved to stand beside Alex at the windows. Captain, I fear that our salvation has doomed your species to become something you were not meant to be. We asked for help from chaotic humans, and in response, your people are organizing chaos into doctrine. The galaxy's going to learn the hard way that manufactured unpredictability is just another form of predictability, Alex replied, and when that happens, they'll either blame us for failing to live up to our reputation, or they'll demand that we become even more chaotic to compensate. Maya was studying the galactic communication logs with growing alarm. Alex, look at this. There are species out there that are deliberately destabilizing themselves, trying to become more human-like. The Vorthon Collective is encouraging random decision-making among their leadership. The Calaris Union is training their military officers to ignore logical tactics. They're trying to become us, Emma realized. They think chaos is just another technology they can adopt. Tom shook his head. They don't understand that human chaos isn't a choice we make. It's what we are. We're not chaotic because we decided to be. We're chaotic because we evolved on a world that required adaptability over optimization. The 12 hours passed too quickly. As the Endeavor prepared to depart for Earth, Alex stood with Premier Thalen on the observation deck for one final conversation. Premier, I want you to know that coming here was the right choice, regardless of what happens next. Your people are alive because you were brave enough to ask for help from strangers. Thalen's skin showed the deep blue-green of profound gratitude mixed with regret. And I want you to know that we understand the price you are paying for our salvation. Your species has lost something precious in becoming our saviors. We've lost our anonymity, Alex agreed. We can never again be the small, unknown species that nobody expects anything from. From now on, everyone will know that humans are the ones you call when logic fails. Is that such a terrible burden? Thalen asked. Alex considered the question as he watched the Althari fleet maintaining its new random patrol patterns around Kalani. The ships moved without logical formation, their paths creating an abstract dance in space that was both beautiful and militarily effective. "It's not terrible," he said finally, "but it's permanent. We can never go back to being what we were before. From now on, humanity will be defined by our ability to solve impossible problems through impossible methods, and that means we'll always be called upon when the impossible happens." As the Endeavour departed Althari space for the journey back to Earth, Alex knew they were returning to a humanity that had fundamentally changed. They had proven that chaos could defeat order, and now they would have to live with the consequences of that knowledge. The galaxy had a new understanding of what humans could do, and they would never stop asking for more. Somewhere in the depths of space, 17 civilizations were waiting for human ships to arrive and work miracles. And beyond them, dozens more species were discovering that their own impossible problems might have human solutions. Humanity had become the galaxy's last resort, and everyone involved knew that was a terrifying responsibility. But as Alex watched the stars shift to hyperspace patterns around his ship, he realized that being terrifying might be exactly what the galaxy needed. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you could be was someone's last hope.